possible. But Eton was 10,000.
Yeah.
Semicron will be 3,000, so quite a lot.
Yeah.
But we will touch 10 billion euro this year. That's actually more or less the double since 17. So in 17, which is 5 years back, we were 5.8. And this year we will touch 10 billion, so it's a sizable step.
It is.
Yeah. Really nice to see the people are coming. Yeah. Good. Lars, I need to, eller vi kan tage den på dansk. Jeg skal introducere dig til ham, der er her på Google Datacenter. Kender du ham?
Nej.
Han er R&D head af alle deres datacenter. JP,
ja. Ja. Jeg ved ikke,
jeg skal se, om jeg kan, hvis vi ser ham, så kan jeg lige give dig en heads up.
Ja. Okay. Super. Marie, kan jeg lige få en ven?
Enjoy. Sit back. Bring the popcorn. Yeah.
All right. Testing the microphone. Is it working? Yeah. Cool. Welcome everyone to the first session on energy efficiency in industrial processes and manufacturing. My name is Katrine Bjerg Eriksen. I'm the Managing Director of Synergy, which is an interest organization here in Denmark working on energy efficiency. We were founded back in 2018 by Danfoss, Grundfos, Rockwool and Velux, and have a few other members today being very ambitious players within energy efficiency. The next 45 minutes you will be presented to concrete examples and cases within this area. So putting, you can say, the high goals, all the ambitions, the willingness to a change that we heard about yesterday into something real, tangible. First, we'll hear from Christian Noll from DNF, the Managing Director and co-founder of DNF, about concrete learnings from Germany. And then we'll invite Lars Knack from Novenco and Søren Korning from Danfoss Drives on the stage to have a discussion and a presentation about a few of their cases. During the session, we will open for questions from you guys. So let me know if you have something you would like to ask. And then I have to tell you that you should be aware that this is streamed to the YouTube channels by the Confederation of Danish Industry and by Danfoss. But first of all, I'm very delighted to invite my colleague from our sister organization in Germany, DNF, co-founder, managing director, Christian Noll, to give us an introduction from Germany. The floor is yours, Christian.
Thank you, Katrine. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, why did I choose this picture of the sexy potato? This is not just because potatoes are something Germans like. It's also something also Danish people like. No, it's because energy efficiency in the industry sector for many years was something like the hot potato. Nobody dared to touch it. Some said, okay, we've done anything we could do to save energy. If you put more burden on us, we will move away. Or if we hadn't done everything we could do, we wouldn't be here producing our goods in a country with such high energy costs. Energy costs are now the driver, which make energy efficiency indeed something which is even more each individual company to become climate neutral. So there's something to do. We as DNF are a network of now more than 200 companies in the field of energy efficiency and energy savings in buildings, in the industry sector, but also ESCOs. And you might have noticed many of our companies are Danish companies, so we're almost a DNF and not just a DNF. But you can also see there are many solutions they are just there and for very individual cases, so there are more opportunities than challenges. So I always said Germany wants to get climate neutral until 2045. What does that mean for the industry sector? There had been 4 major studies in Germany issued last year. And they say to get there we have to come to final energy savings of about 20% in the industry sector. On an economic basis, we have to come to even higher final and primary energy savings, of course. But in the industry sector, of course, due to fuel switches, we have on some parts an increase. But this still means that this additional energy consumption has to be overcompensated by energy efficiency measures to come to those absolute negative consumption. And yes, of course, now the energy price development require even greater efforts and they make even more energy efficiency measures cost effective. Yeah, what's a good example or takeaway from Germany? I would say this is absolutely the number of ISO 50001 energy management certificates. So Germany is far leading before China with a number of certification systems. And the reason for this is that reliefs to regulated energy price components such as renewables, grid surcharges, but also carbon pricing, they are coupled as a prerequisite. You have to have a certified energy management system. This gives opportunities. This means that energy efficiency measures are known. They have strategic relevance on the top-level management agenda due to the structure of this ISO standard. And of course, each company has to come up with individual KPIs on energy efficiency to be monitored and to monitor progress. Still, there are challenges, so there is no requirement inside the norm to implement measures. You just have a soft requirement for an ongoing improvement process, but not really each economic measures have to be implemented. It's not existing. So in Germany, we also have a problem that there is a risk if you get too energy efficient, because if your energy intensity sinks below a threshold in terms of consumptions or energy productivity, you might lose this benefit. And this might lead to a situation where companies say, okay, from this point I stop saving energy. And something which is also worthwhile is nowadays, or with the target to become climate neutral, the scope needs to be extended beyond just energy management towards climate management, without greenwashing, of course. Yeah, but is Germany also a leader in terms of energy efficiency progress in the industry sector? There is a ranking done by Fraunhofer Institute and others. It's called Odyssey Mur Scoreboard. And here Germany only ranks 11 of all 27 EU states. So the improvement rate in the last years has been too low. Industry sector means here manufacturing, construction, and mining. But still, you have to worship that if there haven't been technical energy savings, which are on an adjusted figure of above about minus 9%, so the counterfactual energy consumption increase would have led to even higher greenhouse gas emissions. So there is some effect, but the absolute savings are still too low in the final sector. These are figures from the pre-corona rate. So we will have to see what will happen next, and also with regard to the energy price developments. A recent survey, which has been done by the University of Stuttgart, still says that 70% of the companies plan to introduce carbon neutral products or to switch to carbon neutral production. 70% of them ask for support to do so. So they still don't do it on their own to the full extent. And more than 60% even ask for regulation. When it comes to the political framework in Germany, the status quo is, of course, as each EU member state, we have the requirement for so-called non-SMEs to introduce energy audits. This is currently under revision on a EU level, so this might be changed and might get stricter. We also have the opportunity or a program to introduce energy efficiency networks. This is something like Weight Watchers for energy savings. So companies learn from each other and motivate each other. This is a voluntary scheme. I already said that energy management is a prerequisite for energy reductions, and Of course, we have direct grants and subsidized loans. In some last year, this is about €500 million a year, and it's the biggest energy efficiency program for industry, and on plus there are other smaller programs. By the end of this week, the ministry will also launch a national energy savings campaign on the 10th of June, and this will also not just direct to private consumers, but also to companies. What's missing? Energy management systems, we believe, are at a stage where they should become obligatory for any company, not just in exchange for benefits, starting from a level of 5 gigawatt hours, which is the equivalent of 18 terajoules per year. The implementation of identified measures should become mandatory, and still we have also to come to a more consistent regime on existing energy tax reductions, because the conditions are not completely streamlined, and it should be, of course, be extended to climate management systems and towards a strict implementation of measures. Tax incentives could play a role in a form of accelerated capital allowance for energy efficiency, such as they are existing in Ireland and other EU countries, also Singapore, for quite some time. There will be carbon contracts for difference, which are more directed towards more complex products to give them a better start. And of course, the ESCO market could play a role here for quicker implementation, but this is an area where we have a lot of regulatory barriers. The ESCO market is often forgotten when energy efficiency or when energy regulation is done. They don't think about what are the effects to ESCOs. So this is just a quick outlook to what's happening policy-wise in Germany. And of course, our main message is solutions are there. Anything is possible to implement, even to have a better combination of energy management towards climate management. And we published a guideline on that, how you can get from energy management to climate management. And if you're interested in that, you're invited to contact my colleague Tatjana Ruhl, and she's happy to send it to you. So, and now I'm looking forward to discuss with you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Christian, for a very interesting perspective from Germany. Now I invite Lars Knack and Søren Kroning to up to join us up here. Lars Knack is the CEO of Novenco Building and Industry, originally a Danish company founded 75 years ago, now present all over the world. Lars has been with Novenco for more than 15 years. Søren Kroning is the Senior Vice President for Global Sales, Marketing and Services for Danfoss Drives. He has been with Danfoss for 13 years in different leading positions all over the world, different places across the world. And I will start now with giving the floor to Lars to present his case on that you have brought with you today to present here to the audience. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation. Just to give you a brief on Novenco Building and Industry, as said, as we say, we move air for a greener and for a safer world. And the greener, that is the energy efficiency at the most, and the safer world, that is when we make smoke extract from buildings, from car parks, and so on. So that is another part of our business. But that is, what we do. We move air, and that is what we have done for 75 years. And we have been developing continually high-efficient fan solutions for different industries. And at the current point, we have a fan now that have an efficiency of up to 92%. And that is in a wide range, so it's not only for one point of the max capacity, it is actually for a wider range, so that we have, the efficiency in a wide range when we are running the fan. And that is, I think, a very, very energy efficient. We are today serving a wide range of industries on the building side, processes in industries, but also data centers making cooling systems for data centers today. We have a broadened focus also on sustainability. I think that is also something that we need to take into account when we are discussing energy efficiency. That is that we are looking into to having a fan that is running for the full time, primarily for the building, for the data center, for the lifetime of a data center. You don't need to replace it 2 or 3 times during the lifetime of the process equipment. So that is one of the things that we design for a long lifetime, and many of our fans are running for 20-25 years with the needed maintenance. Further on, I think we also are looking into the recyclability of our products. So we actually today have a documented recyclability of 98%. So that is looking on the whole, and we are looking now down to see if we can use already recycled material for our products. One thing that was also up is that the cooling is what we do is cooling is becoming more and more people, especially in India and Southeast Asia, are getting need for cooling and getting also can pay for cooling. So that will be a big thing. And we are active in Southeast Asia and also in India. And in India, we actually made a case for a big tire manufacturer, JK Tires. They have 9 factories all over India. And there we started out, as we usually do when we do retrofits and not making new builds, is that we go in and we find a fan that can be retrofitted. We take an external consultant to come in and to take measures of the old solution, so that we know exact what is the power consumption, what is the airflow, what is the pressure. And then we change the fan, and then we take in the consultant again, the external consultant, and then we make a new report. And then we make so that we can demonstrate the saving. And in many cases, we are making savings in the lower end is 40-45%, and up to 50-60% savings. And then when they have that, then they can start up to change all the fans in the building and in the factory. And now with JK Tires, I think we are now currently making changes at their factory number 7. That is also to take it into what we see is that it needs to get into the budget, and then they start to do the. So that is a very practical way of what we do, and I think we also heard a lot today about recovering heat and so on. I mean, we need to look into moving air, moving water in an efficient way, and then we can do the other things. So that is our point. Yeah, thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Lars. So over to you, Søren. You brought a case with you as well.
Yes, so in Danfoss Drives, or in Danfoss in general, we work with providing technology for various sectors and industries, and everything we do is related to the green transition. So we focus on solutions and products and technologies that can generate the energy efficiency in all the industries we are covering. And secondly, we also provide technologies that enables the renewable sector. And I could give you various examples from our own factories, but I think we have heard a lot about Sønderborg these days. And Danfoss, so I would like to get a little international here with a case from Italy. We have a tomato, and if any British people in here, tomato sauce factory in Parma, but we have been working with them because they had very high ambitions on their scope 1 and 2 in the ESG journey. They have more than 100 electric motors in their conveyors and in their packaging machinery in the factory. And with a tight measurement with the energy management system, they identified this as one of the areas for which were up for the energy savings. We worked with them locally, and with our engineers in the front line, we worked with the engineers at the customers, and we worked very pragmatically. How can we make these energy efficiency happening with a very short return on investment? And by utilizing variable speed drive and established demand control in their processes, they saved more than 33% energy with a return on investment less than 2 years. and that is for the factory there who are delivering 150 million jars of tomato sauce every year. Maybe you have tried it, otherwise I can recommend it. The factory is called Barilla, and for them this is a CO2 saving of 71,000 ton per year. So it's a quite big step on their ESG journey, supporting the Scope 1 and Scope 2. So I will park it there. I will not talk about our headquarter. You can see that later.
Very good. Thank you so much,
Yes.
Søren. So now moving into the discussion, where I also will invite you to ask questions if you have any. I'll start with you, Christian, because one said once that is the economy stupid. But if the big energy saving potential is there, meaning also a potential to save resources, money, etc., for the businesses and the industry, why is things not happening?
Yeah, because it's the economy stupid. And it also part of the truth is that there are non-economic barriers. And then if a company does a business decision, sometimes it is when we, for example, talk about cross-cutting technologies like ventilation or drives, compared to other activities of a firm, they say, okay, this is just a small amount of our cost structure. We invest into our core activities, and then they forgot about energy savings. This might now change with energy prices. So, but still, it's a lot about how investment decisions are made within companies. If are payback times, are they the right key performance indicator, or do we more have to think about what are like internal interest rates and things like that? So this is a lot of an education process, but I also think that regulation can help here to set requirements at a cost-effective level, which is of high gain for companies. And that should happen, and then the economy can solve it.
Yeah.
Very good. Last, Søren, any perspectives?
I would like to add and maybe turn it a little around, because I think you're absolutely right, and I also think it has to do with education and our focus. We're sitting in companies, we want to invest in this. The first thing we think about is a solar plant and a wind turbine. This is very practical. Everybody can understand this is green. But it takes, in best case, 7 years before the wind turbine park is up there, or it takes at least a year or two before the solar plant is up and running. This is crucial for our future, yes. But we need the short-term gain coming out of the energy efficiency. And for now, we have an energy crisis, we have shortages, we need to get independent of the supply from Russia in terms of energy, and everybody is really hit on the pricing of energy. So the energy efficiency is key to curb that development fast, while we of course establish the renewable sector for the future.
So what is your experiences in terms on return on investment or payback time? So what are how long payback time is actually relevant to find the interest by the industry?
Do you want to
I
start?
think, before the crisis, it was 3 years. I think that was what everybody was. And now I think with the increasing prices for energy, then, I mean, it has just shortened the time, so it has become much more relevant. And I also see that the industries that we have been approaching half year ago, a year ago, is now coming back and say, oh, it's actual now, it's now. We want to change, because now they can actually see the bill for the energy is increasing significantly. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's good money, right? It's a business-wise, a 2-3 years return on investment is also making us a much more profitable business today.
Yeah.
And every time you do energy saving, you have more to learn for the years to come. So every year we start to harvest on the savings that we established 3-5 years back. And if we look on now I will not refer to the headquarter again, but if you refer to carbon neutral with a payback time of 2 to 3 years, this is super good, profitable business today.
Yeah.
And it's really, really helping us. Of course, it's nice to tell the story, but profit-wise, it's also a super healthy investment.
But we should also shift this, because I think in the recent years, so the narrative of payback times didn't convince everybody. So you should more shift to like a net present value idea and say, okay, you can put your bank money on the bank and get no interest rates, or you can invest it internally and get really huge interest rates. So, and this should be shifted, this paradigm of thinking, because payback periods are just a figure for risk assessment. How long is my money invested in other things, so I can't use it for other things? So, and it should be more seen as an opportunity and as an investment of itself.
Yeah, fair point.
But I see still a thing. I mean, money talks, and it's it is. I mean, yeah, we need to come up with solutions that are compatible, because then, I mean, else they are not adapted, and that's just a hard fact, and that we have today. But I think also that we need, and that is, I think Danfoss is a good example of to have a high ambition when you are doing the energy. The energy efficiency programs, because I think we see a lot of technologies that can take you some of the way for approximately the same amount that you could go all the way. So I mean, we still see that we can come out to relatively new buildings that are 2 years old, and we can still make by changing the fan alone, making 15 to 20% saving. And the guy is saying, okay, but this is 2 years old. I mean, so I think also it's also about having an ambition.
You also talked about missing awareness among some companies, or not have an understanding about the energy saving potential. So what can we do to increase the awareness about energy efficiency?
I can give it a shot for sure. I think events like this, the whole noise we have made in this week here around with multiple stakeholders, governments, a lot of experts, a lot of the networking going on, I think this is a good start. I think also we need to really educate our young people, but also our aging talent. I don't want to say I'm one of them, but I'm getting there. And I think we are leading our businesses today the same ways as we did 10 and 15 years back, and there is clearly a shift in the motivator or the motivating factors of our people, and we need to make it very attractive to work with these green agendas. This is what they want, but we also as business leaders, we need to support that this is the mantra of today's leadership. So education from young and to old, I think, is crucial.
Well, I would say that, of course, price development and the current energy price situation and the war in Ukraine, and the feeling that you also can show support to Ukraine with saving energy is one part of it. But still, a lot of, if we talk about private household, but it also comes to companies which are now suffering energy price development. They clearly need political support and guidance. And this is why it's so important that like the Energy Efficiency Directive on the EU level, but also international agreement and down to national or local regulation, policymakers give this support and this guidance and make clear it is a serious matter to the public. So they've done so with renewable energies, and they did a great job. So the development is happening. Although this could be accelerated, but in terms of energy efficiency, there was a lot of talk about making it a priority, energy efficiency first. But in fact, we didn't see that on the ground happening in national policies so far.
So Christian, in your perspective, how important is regulation within energy efficiency for industry?
It is, because this is a field which is largely unregulated, or where it is regulated, we have adverse effects that it prevents investments. So I've given this example of the benefits you can gain, but if you save too much energy, you lose it. The ESCO market, so the companies out there who could help companies to save energy, there is regulation hindering in doing them to do so. But on the other hand, I think the idea to introduce a mandatory energy audit in the EU was a good idea. but it didn't lead to implementation so far. And I would clearly say, when it's cost effective, why don't regulate it on a comparable level we did with home appliances, and said, okay, if cost efficient, it's fair to regulate it.
Well, I think what we start to see is that there's more and more focus on sustainability in a broad way, and I think that the energy efficiency is also coming in. So before, when you had a factory manager or a facility manager that was only looking on return on investment, you start to see that you have a sustainability manager that is looking on carbon emissions. And that is, I mean, the beauty with energy efficiency is that you get the carbon reduction day one. Then you have to pay back, I mean, the investment in 1.5, 2 years, whatever it takes, 3 years. But you get, I mean, the emission reduction day one, and that is what we can see, especially in multinational companies.
So Lars, in your perspective, so which decision maker in the company should you go to if you want to open the door for energy efficiency projects?
Oh, that's, I think, is difficult, because I see still that the real focus, the big action on sustainability is mostly with multinational companies that are really going. A little down, then the focus is not there yet. But I think that will come, because I think it will be a license to operate that you're treating the environment, and you are doing everything the best you can. So I think, and also to attract talent in the future, I think that will be.
I have a burning comment a little here, because I think in many of our companies we have sustainability officers, and we have a head of sustainability and ESG. We have an ESG strategy. I really like to say that we have in Danfoss, we have 40,000 people. We have 40,000 people responsible for our CO2 savings. And a very good and very practical example, I have used it many times, my people know. Why on earth are we having plastic bottles in here? This does not require a CEO to change that or anything. This is something we can all do.
Okay, I invite you to ask any questions. Yes, I have one. We have one down there.
I raised my hand before you finished your sentence. My first question is for Chris. And Chris, you mentioned some of the strengths of 50,001. And then you said, but there are drawbacks. And one of them is that as companies approach essentially the limit in what they think they can do in energy efficiency, they don't even want to do this maybe anymore. And I think that you can extrapolate that to lots of other things. And so I'm wondering if we need to get rid of energy management standards like 50,001 and go to carbon management standards, which is directly what we really need, right? It's not really energy, it's carbon. And that also plays into the difference between energy management and climate management. And when we go to a climate management standard, we can literally ask everyone to drive it to zero. In other words, CO2 per dollar can go down to zero, and you can still be incredibly profitable. And you can't drive energy intensity down to zero, or else you don't exist, right? So my question is, do you see any movement on a climate management standard instead of an energy management?
Well, what's currently under development are standards for not for climate management, but for climate budgeting, and they are done by ISO or prepared by ISO. And the good thing is that they are planned to be compatible to the ISO 50001, so you can build upon. So you have the energy management system, you have your carbon balancing, and you have to set your internal greenhouse gas reduction target, which should be ideally zero before 2045 in Germany. And we have this methodology there, but I think it is important to start with energy management systems and things you can do on the ground, like energy savings in your company or local renewable energy production and things like that. So companies don't start with offsetting before they have done their job around their site or in the site themselves. That's very important, because otherwise we don't get there, and everybody will declare himself to be climate neutral by just buying certificates from other parts of the world without doing his own job.
Please, go ahead.
No, I had a different question.
I have
Okay,
a comment
maybe
to that,
let's-
then we can go back.
Yeah.
I start to see that there is a movement towards what we call scientific-based target setting in the ESG direction. And that is addressing some of the topics that you are questioning here. I still believe personally that it's early days. We all want to be leaders in ESG, so we also, all of us, have to set our ambition level very, very high and learn on the go how to get there. And I think many companies are doing that, and at least I can say from our side, we start to see customers asking, what is your KPI on A, B, and C, and so on. And that is related to the movement. Yeah.
Yes, just a moment, because there is a microphone coming. So,
Better.
Okay. Is it on? All right. My second question is for Danfoss. You know, to accelerate this, it was brought up, you know, there's an investment gap in most companies.
Yeah.
Most companies are not investing in everything they rationally should, which could accelerate energy efficiency. And one of the ideas that is promulgated is, well, we need to educate people more, all right? And I agree with that. But I think there's a gap in education is from CEO to CEO, right? So, you know, like Danfoss, you get it, right? Your company gets it. And so you don't have an investment gap. You've moved on all of those things. And we can talk about training other people, but do you think that there would be potential for leading companies, you know, the C-suite people from leading companies to go talk to other companies about this, and that might help address this education gap?
Yes. I fully agree to your statement and your comments, and at least I think the current crisis of energy is both on price, that is what is hitting us, but very shortly we will have countries in the lack of gas to heat up their homes. All of this is driving that sharing. And when we talk to our largest customers today, this is on sea level. What are you doing on ESG? How can we take a leap here? How can we set the bar high here together? So I think there is a movement here, but it can not go fast enough. That's really the challenge we have to address. Yeah.
I'd love to see you talking to more companies
Yeah.
about this, because they will, you know, through your leadership, they will understand.
Yeah.
we have another question down here, and then we are moving to yes here.
So I think it's still important to save the energy even though it's clean, because of the reason of security of supply. So it might be a good idea with carbon management, but don't forget the save energy.
No.
Exactly. All right,
Goes hand in hand.
there's one last question, and then we are actually very close to an end already.
Really.
Thank you. Søren Ytgen from the Global ESCO Network. Just a quick question. Do you face any supply chain issues? And the reason why I'm asking is that the competitor that we all know about, the renewable energy supply, they are actually facing supply chain issues. So focusing on energy efficiency, assuming that you do not, would also benefit from diversifying the supply chains.
Yeah.
Any comments to that? I mean, first of all, answering the question, do you face any supply chain issues?
Yes. That's the short answer.
Yeah, we do, but we are getting better in firefighting the journey, and then we have really seen a year with tons of surprises in all supply chains across the world, from logistic to component to labor. So transport, part of the logistic bottleneck. So yes, for sure, we are getting better at managing. And I think one thing we are learning is not only energy efficiency, it's also internal efficiency. The things, the redesigns we earlier on managed in a year or maybe even more, is today managed in 3-4 months, simply because of the need. Otherwise, our factories would stop. That's so. I think we're all getting better in that manner. We're all getting faster.
That goes again to go with the solution that can hold for a long year. I mean, so if you can go for a fan for 20 years, then go for that. Then we can take it from there.
All right. One final question, and that is from my end. So, if we were to change one thing tomorrow that would speed up the focus and willingness to do energy-saving projects among industrial processes and manufacturing, what would that be? Søren, would you start?
For me, I mean, the whole energy efficiency is not necessarily needing funding. It's a good business case in itself. So for me, the number one priority is education.
Lars?
I think we need also regulations, but I think we need more, regulation on specification level, housing regulations, machine regulations, and so on, because that will drive also that the energy efficiency in total. But you need to get down on that level, I think, to really.
Christian?
Yeah, but I would then add on that we also need like state level energy savings targets, which have to become binding right now, and we have to dare to do so.
And you are referring to the Energy Efficiency Directive and the
EU Energy
discussions.
Efficiency Directive, but also in any country of the world. So there's nothing which is should be special to the EU member states. So, but in any country, it should be on the same pace as increasing renewables. We should reduce energy consumption, that's for sure. So we can't allow to just exchange the waste of fossil fuels by the waste of renewable fuels.
Exactly. So, all of you, thank you very much for being here, for presenting concrete examples from your companies and from Germany. Thank you for taking part in the discussion actively by questions as well and comments. I have been having a good time here. I hope you have as well. A few practical information. Next is a coffee break of 15 minutes before we start again at 11. It will be served downstairs or just over here? Just out here, yeah. So if you are to attend the next industry session, it will be in here as well. And I think the takeaways from this session, hopefully you think as well, is that the good cases are there. There's a huge potential for energy savings and also economic savings. And that we also need some drivers in terms of regulation, and we need to work together. So by that, thank you very much for attending this session.
Thanks, Katrine.
Thank you.